Good evening. This is Defacto review for this week. We highlight the following three topics. First, Prime Minister L.Oyun-Erdene visit to the People's Republic of China. Second, the criminal case of the Development Bank of Mongolia. What had happened with that case? First is about the Prime Minister L.Oyun-Erdene visit to China. It was an invitation by the Prime Minister of State Council of People's Republic of China, Li Qiang, that invitation. And this visit was on June 26th and 30th. At the beginning of the visit, the delegation visited Tianjin, where the 14th Summer Davos Forum was held. And there were five topics of the forum. One is about the state of China today. Energy, second, energy and raw materials, technology. The third is post-COVID trend. Fourth is the nature protection. Fifth was the climate change and innovation. These were topics Prime Minister, along with other 6 high-level delegations of other countries, have been participating in the made speech and expressed position of Mongolia. And also in Tianjin, the Prime Minister L.Oyun-Erdene had visited a Mongolian port, or there is a 10-hectare land which was given for, rented for 50 years by Mongolia, because there is a certain international convention that for landlocked countries, those neighbors which has never had ocean access, kind of providing certain facilities in Mongolia, took that opportunity 10 years ago. Nothing is done. This time, Prime Minister, another time, suggested to make the certain logistics complex there, and as soon as possible, within a year, if possible, to make a port, the working facilities there. But usually it happens many times for the last almost 20 years, but unfortunately nothing has done so far. Tianjin is an important port for Mongolia because 90% of our import is coming through this port. Prime Minister went to Beijing, met all 3 leaders of China, including Xi Jinping, the state chair, and also the speaker and the Prime Minister. And also there was many meetings of private companies or state-owned companies with the Prime Minister, where he had explained what kind of projects Mongolia are looking for investment or cooperation or partnership relations. I was at the China Energy companies meeting, the huge company, the 84th largest in the Forbes 500 list, and the company is going to make the missing piece of the 2 railways connection on 2 sides of the border in 3 places. And within a year, the discussion was within a year to complete the project to get finally connected Mongolian railway ends with China. And somehow also the Prime Minister had sorry for many attempts they made to come to Mongolian market. The China Energy said that it is trying to have any access to the market since 2003. And there were numerous cases where certain agreement was made, but never met that conditions from Mongolian side. And the Prime Minister said sorry for that. And interesting. It was interesting to notice that. And I thought it is, on the other hand, shows his commitment to really make the deals, finally the projects we start with China finally done. The other interesting thing was the projects mostly will be made, the contract is there, signed already, and all these projects, the state will not invest. It is BOT, build, operate and transfer conditions, projects, but it is not clear. The minister said to me for the road, and the road minister told me that it is for 30 years concessions, not clear in which the economic conditions will be there. We don't know that yet, but usually it is the private companies who made this project will get paid by those who are using the infrastructure. And then after 30 years, it will be given back to the state. Another thing was a long-standing so-called swap between two central banks. The term is extended again for another 3 years. And it's very long going on loan by the central bank. Mongolia is spending a lot of money just for the interest, and it's a high time to pay, but the country cannot pay, and they are asking all the time extend that swap agreement. There was a business meeting, Mongolia-China business meeting in a China World Hotel, where some 300 plus Chinese businesses and over 100 Mongolian businesses have been meeting, talking, and they really several ministers from the cabinet. And by the way, there were some 10 cabinet ministers and over 10 parliament members in a huge delegation from Mongolian side. And they were signing numerous agreements, memorandum of understandings, contracts, and total sum around $500 million, according to the organizer, which is a Chamber of Commerce of Mongolia. Interesting also to highlight is the Zamingud-Iring port connections at the border will work now 24 hours for the first time, which will be a substantial contribution towards making faster the logistics transportation through the border in this case. Trade between two countries now it had reached around 13 billion USD, and it is 64% of our total foreign trade turnover. So China is a really important partner, and in particular in terms of majority of our export is coal, and they have agreed the coal trade from Mongolian side will be at the highest possible level. We talk about 50 to 60 million tons a year. So it is a very comprehensive issues have been discussed by the Prime Minister. It is the longest 5-day visit, working days visit of a Prime Minister. And the expectation is like in 1950s when Mongolian, that time, chairman of the really great Horal Sedembal visited China. So after similar economic cooperation boost is expected from this trip. So energy, coal, transportation, logistics, where we have, Mongolia has proposed several large projects, and hopefully it will be done. So that's the first issue of our. The next issue of our review is a Development Bank of Mongolia case. There was a criminal court, continued almost for 2 months, and there were 18 people involved, and 48 of them are now not guilty. So it is quite not what the people were expecting, in particular after the Prime Minister's remark about the court system. Earlier, the Prime Minister said that investigations are done. Now all things go to the court, and we will watch that what is happening. And we have been watching. It is very interesting 2-month work, but as a result, 60% of those are becoming not guilty, who were convicted, who were being under investigation. 48 out of 80 are now not guilty. What had happened with the Trade and Development Bank of Mongolia? This Development Bank of Mongolia is established in 2012, and by now 55% of this total loan they have given classified as not non-quality, bad loans, and the government had asked, after investigation of all these cases, to consider that as a money laundering. That at least the request given to the general prosecutor. As a result, now the result is like this now. Actually, the people who were misusing the fund in a way now become not guilty. And this is not in the line of fighting corruption by the current government. And it's another case where the prosecutor and the judiciary system is working in this way. And it's quite contrary than the people were expecting. However, because all this come evident, transparent, how this loan were used by people close to the decision making at the leadership of this bank. Out of this whole non-quality loan, out of 1.8 trillion MNT loan, 1.3 trillion MNT loan was paid back. So this is the only thing which makes a bit calm for the public. Otherwise, it's another case where court system is working not to the level what the people expect justice being realized. The third topic today is about the National Program of Combating Corruption. This is third program because Mongolia is a member now, Anti-Corruption Convention of the UN. And under this convention, we created this anti-corruption agency, and we have this national program to fight corruption. And now the one which was approved in 2016 had now finished this year. And now they need to conclude what is done for last 7 years and what to be done for the next 7 years. So in 2016, there was the previous program, which is regarded now 75% is completed from this 7 years program, according to the Minister of Justice, Nyambatar. Now, for the next 7 years, what's going to happen? That was the whole idea of this program. So far, according to the CPI, Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International, Mongolia had taken 103rd place in 2017 out of 180 countries. 2018, 93rd. 2019, 106, 2020, 111th, 2021, 110. In last year, 2022, 116th rank Mongolia took. And the last year it had went back by 6 places, not because corruption had been increased, but just because Mongolia started to fight seriously with the corruption. At least there is several cases where several scandalous corruption cases now revealed publicly, and all except one, went to the court. The exception, one was the case by the Erdene, Mr. Erdene, who is chair of the largest commercial bank, Trade and Development Bank. And the case was illegally using public money for purchasing shares owned by Russians, and declared it's like their money. And it was proved that it was public money taken again from the Development Bank of Mongolia, etc. But this case is being like a shuttle between court and the investigation by the prosecutor. And the person, Erdene, went under medical requirement to Singapore, and he didn't come back, though he had to for 2 weeks. He has a bailout of 3 billion MNT at the same time when he had several trillion MNT cases connected. So people are not very happy with that. And nowadays, the Sukhbata district judge asked to be investigated by the representative of the government at this court case. So in this new program for next 7 years, government had included several on program. For example, there is a 5 program to combat corruption, like whistleblowing, like a bird, to catch back those who are on the run from the criminal case investigations. Mongolia is expected to have this national program approved shortly. And if this program is approved, at least it will be the legal measures that will be taken to combat corruption. But the most corruption comes from the state-owned enterprises and state-related properties. For example, 37% of Mongolian budget expenses goes to the state-owned enterprises. Thank you very much for watching.